Okay, so nobody seems to make a video on this or tell you what to do. This is a 2009 Ford Taurus X, and it's an all-wheel drive, and I'm working on it. Had a leaking seal on the passenger side of the transmission, which is actually the power unit for the four-wheel drive. So I took it apart, pretty straightforward, just like a normal axle. You can figure that part out. And I pulled the axle out, and then it has this little disc on it, which I haven't encountered before. But they call this some kind of a shield from Ford. And the seal is actually behind this disc. And apparently you need a special tool to install it. You're supposed to use a blind hole bearing puller to pull it out, which I don't have. But I found some information online that I'll try and post a link to about a guy that did this, and he has the puller in there, but he also just used a hot knife to melt this thing. So I got the parts from Ford, and the aftermarket parts were just all wrong. So it comes with a new, I guess, updated disc, and then there's a seal, which is really small, and there's a washer that goes between the disc and the seal. And then there's this thing here, which you put in there before you put the axle in. It just keeps you from cutting the seal accidentally. So what I need to do is, I don't know if you see it, there's a ridge on the inside, and that's what holds this, on the outside, and that's what holds this thing into the power unit. So I'm going to try and melt this and see if I can get this disc off, and then I'll show you how to put the seal in. Okay, so what I did is it took me like 2 minutes. I heated up with a old kitchen knife and got it red hot and cut like 4 slits in it. And I'm going to try and see if I can pry it out. I know they say don't pry it, but I'm just going to pry lightly on the edges and see if I can get it to pop. I'm hoping that I weaken the inside enough to kind of make tabs and be able to get it apart. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so this is how far I got. I got a chunk broke out of it right here. This is not my favorite thing to do because I'm getting chips of crap all over the place. I'm going to have to really clean this out good. It looks like there is a seal right here also, so I don't think I got that at all, but be careful of that. Okay, I got it out finally. This is what the hole looks like after you get it out. I had some crap in there, but it looks like there's a seal on the outside. That must be for the APU gear lube. And then there's a little ridge in here where that plastic ring locked in, and then this is the seal back here. It's in about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch down in there. So I'm going to pull that out next and hopefully get this job done finally. I took a picture of the pieces and I'll put it up right now, and you can see that there's a groove on it and what's left of it. I finally broke it out with a screwdriver, and I couldn't fit a pry bar in, so I used this guy right here, which is a Craftsman cotter pin extractor, to break the pieces out. Finally, it took me like, I don't know, almost an hour to break that stupid thing apart, and keep heating it up and heating the knife up and cutting it. This is the knife I use, just an old kitchen knife. Alright, I'm going to get it back together. Alright, so now I'm going to get the seal out of the APU. I got my seal puller tool here. I'm hoping that on this angle I can actually get the seal to move. compressor decided to start running right before I stopped the video. Alright, now my air compressor's done. There's just no room to get into this thing. Once you get in there, there's no room to pry because there's no room by the exhaust. I was hoping it was in a good spot before I started this video and it's going to pop right out. But it is not. Alright, so I'm going to try some other way to get that seal out. Okay, I ended up getting it out with this seal puller here, which I just had to find in my workshop. I was able to get it out with this. The manual says to use that slide hammer or blind hold bearing puller to pull this out too. I just don't have one. I can't get one today. Otherwise I would have the right tool for the job. And so now I'm going to clean up the bore, and I do have the special tool from OTC for putting this back in. I didn't get this ahead of time. This is 6875. I got it on Amazon. This is the installer to get that in the right depth. And this guy here is for putting that plastic shield back on over the top of everything when I'm done. So hopefully that will all work smoothly now from now on. Okay, now having cleaned up the bore, I do see that where the seal goes in, it does look like there's a shelf back there. So I think that you could get by without the tool. I'll see what happens. I think the biggest issue you'd have would be getting it to go in there straight. But I think that if you had a seal installer, you could probably get it in there straight, and it should bottom out at the right depth. But once I got the tool, I'm going to use it. Okay, so here's my setup. I got the seal in there. I used as a handle my Harbor Freight handle for my seal driver. It kind of fits. Didn't fit real good, but it worked real good. It just went right in till it bottomed out, so that was pretty slick. Now I gotta put the washer in, and then I gotta get the plastic disc ready. Okay, so next step is to put this deflector on, which I'm supposed to heat up. They say you can boil it in boiling water for 2 to 5 minutes. I think that's what I'm gonna try instead of trying to use the heat gun. But this one looks different than the old one. The old one was black and flat on the outside, and this one is different. I think they've upgraded the design. Anyway, this is the tool, number 205882, that's supposed to put this on. You're supposed to put it like this. I don't know what the deal is, but this, you can see in there the circle, this thing doesn't really fit, except for being like a flat object that I can drive this in with. It doesn't really do a lot for me. So we'll just have to see how this is going to work. I just wanted to point that out, that is not going to work very good. This seal installer actually fits on there pretty good, but it has that bump that sticks out, and I don't know if that's going to interfere with the washer or the part that is attaching to. So I'm going to try it with the flat one, and what I did is put some 3/8 washers on my Harbor Freight thing to attach that now since it's thinner, and I'm going to heat that up to boiling. I'm going to try and whack it in there, hopefully. Okay, so I finally got the plastic piece in there. I heated it up with boiling water. I got it halfway on, and it got stuck. So I was originally using that tool that was designed for it. It wasn't working. So I tried using the seal installer, but it started boogering the inside of the ring on there. So then what I ended up doing was went in my Harbor Freight seal installer kit and got my seal installer, which goes with that handle that I was using. And what I did is, you can see the handle in there. This is a piece of 1-inch electrical conduit, and the handle for the seal installer slides right inside of there, so that kind of gave me an extension. And I cut this down to length so that when I got it into the center there, and that little piece fits in there real nice. It's pretty much flush with this shroud right here. It gave me just enough to take my 4-pound sledge and my little short one and tap it in there. It made a really loud pop when it went in, and it does spin just a little bit. So I think I finally got it in, and now I'm going to go ahead and put in I'm going to go ahead and put in this guy to protect the seal, and then I'm going to put the axle shaft back in, and hopefully this will be all done.